What's going on, gangsters? Movie John 75 here, if you didn't already know. And today I'm going to talk about Texas Chainsaw 3D. Not Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, but Texas Chainsaw 3D. A lot of people think it's a remake, because a few years ago we did have a remake, which was a pretty good remake. And actually all the new remakes they come out with over the years, I seem to like that remake better than a lot of other remakes. And it had really good story, had good characters in it, had good actors in it. It was a good remake. Then they made a prequel later on with the beginning. So now, a few years later, Leatherface is coming back one more time, I guess, or they might have a few more after this, I really don't know. This one is directed by some dude, I don't even remember his name. He's only directed like 3 other movies. That's the problem I have with these guys doing these new movies off of these old characters. And the other movies he did wasn't even like horror movies. They were, I don't even know what they was. I don't even think I've seen them. But the deal is, I don't know what, they just seem like they just slop it all together and just throw it in there and say, here it is, here's the movie. You know, the biggest part of this movie is it's actually a sequel to the original 1974 classic. And that was Tobe Hooper's, big thing there, and he did a great job, and it's a masterpiece. And it shouldn't ever had a sequel and never should had probably a remake, but it did. And they had other sequels to this movie back in the days. Of course, in the 80s they had the part 2, and they had a 3, and then they had a god-awful part 4, which is called The New Generation. And then they took a few years off. And then, of course, Freddy and Jason and all these other ones come back, so they bring Leatherface back. The problem I have with this movie is everything after about the first, 5 or 6 minutes. I mean, I could sit there and watch it. It was in 3D. Of course, I don't always like 3D, because half the time the movie does not need 3D. And the only thing in this movie that was good about having the 3D was one part where he throws the chainsaw. And I was with Maggie May when I watched this, and she actually ducked. So it was pretty cool. But that was about the only part I could really see that was worth having the 3D glasses on for. Another thing is, which they tied in good. They tied into the original. They actually show clips from the original. I thought I was going to get a good movie once I started seeing that, And they even recreate, the house and stuff from this classic 74, and they can continue on there for a few minutes with Bill Moseley. He makes an appearance from The Devil's Rejects, and of course he played in Texas Chainsaw 2 as the Chop Top. And Gunnar Hansen, that played the original Leatherface, was in there for a few minutes. Of course, Gunnar's a big dude, and I could see, he's older and everything now and everything, but this new Leatherface was too damn small. That was as soon as I seen him, I'm like, he's too damn small. Gunnar should have came back and done Leatherface again, if nothing else. If they're going off of the original, they should have kept Gunnar and got him to do it, because he's a pretty good sized boy, and he's scarier that way. That other guy was not scary. I don't know. In the storyline, basically, there's a girl that's, of course, a baby from the very beginning of the original one, and years later she inherits the mansion and in that town, and she goes back. And of course, Leatherface, he escaped. The townspeople came there and blew up and killed everybody, and of course he gets out, and apparently he's living in the basement of this house for, I guess, 20 years or whatever. That girl might have been 20, 21, I don't know. But she comes back and with her friends, and just a typical hanging out, wanting to party and stuff, and then some maniac shows up with a chainsaw. So it's nothing special. He comes back and flips out, and he don't know that he's related. They're really cousins, and she finds out a lot by looking at stuff in papers and stuff, that the cops and what they did to her family, and kind of pisses her off, and then she ends up helping him out at the end. So it's a little spoiler there if you want to waste your good hard money and go see it. But I wouldn't recommend it. It was out of a total 5, I would only give it about a 2, and that's barely giving it a 2. A lot of people think I'm hard on movies and stuff, but I'm sorry. I want what I want, and I didn't get what I wanted, and therefore quit making the fucking movies. I mean, seriously, if you don't know how to direct a damn horror movie, and especially if you're directing something from a classic. Now, if you want to start over and make your own movie, and even some of them suck. I'm not saying I could be the best director in the world or nothing, but don't mess with a masterpiece, okay? Don't mess with original stuff. Just like Friday the 13th, when they made that sequel, a remake, they took like the first 4 and kind of blended them in. It was almost just like just a regular Friday the 13th movie, but it had a little bit of Jason's mother at the beginning from the first one, and then the sack, and then he gets the mask, and they kind of went through like 3 and 4 parts of the originals, which didn't work. And they're gonna make a part 2. I think I heard of it. Nightmare on Elm Street, of course, they made that movie, and they didn't have no Robert Englund. That's what it was. It was a good movie if it had a different killer in it. I did like parts of that movie. But the Texas Chainsaw 3D, nah, don't get a good rating from me. I just don't. I don't care with. I don't like people that screws up classic movies, and that's exactly what they did. Again, because the prequel that they made at the beginning was useless. But I did like the remake. I really did. I don't know why. I guess because of the characters that they had in and stuff, and the people. And it actually had a better storyline. This piece of shit here didn't have much of a storyline. I'm sorry. A lot of people might not like it and think I'm just hard on movies and don't like a damn movie, but I do like movies. But I didn't like that one that much. But I did stay for the whole movie. I never got up and left, and I just kind of laughed at a lot of parts that was just stupid. But otherwise, if you want to go see a good movie out right now, go see Django Unchained, Quentin's new masterpiece. And I will be talking about it eventually in a video too, I'm sure. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw 3D gets 2 thumbs down if I want to do that. Start the thumbs up, thumbs down. Go see something else. Don't work hard for your money and waste it on that. Or if you wanted to, wait for it to come on DVD, rent it at Netflix or something like that. I could see you doing it. But otherwise, it ain't really worth the time and effort to go to the theater. So until next time, gangsters,